Welcome back all of you once again. It's Backpack and still we are trying to bring you more about the important places to visit in Egypt. Talking about mosques here in general, in Egypt and in Cairo in particular, we have many important mosques to visit. And these mosques, actually, we have a lot of things to bring you because we are talking about the design, about the architecture. Today we decided to come to visit Amr ibn al-As Mosque. We're going to bring you more details about this important mosque, one of the oldest mosques in Cairo, and also we're going to bring you more about this unique area in general. Stay with us, we'll be back right after.
This multi-religious complex is a unique place. While visiting this area, one can stop by many different sites. And we are talking about a place where you can find again the mosque, the church, the synagogue, all together. Very close here is the Mosque of Amr ibn al-As. The Mosque of Amr ibn al-As, constructed by Amr ibn al-As in 642 AD, is the first mosque built in both Egypt and Africa. He was an Arab general who fought against the Romans and was hailed by the Copts as a liberator. He was later appointed governor by the Caliph, and he founded a new capital, Al-Fustat, that replaced the old one, which was Alexandria. This mosque was built in the center of Al-Fustat, surrounded by the houses there, and originally the mosque was overlooking the Nile on its northwest side. The mosque was referred to as both the crown of the mosques and the antique mosque. Interestingly, the current features of the mosque are quite different from the original ones. Many reconstructions and restorations have taken place since the time of its foundation. The rectangular mosque was built with a low shed of wood and palm leaves, supported on columns of palm stems, stones, and mud bricks, while the floor was covered with gravel. This first simple mosque measures about 29 meters in length and 17 meters in width. The most important change and last one was ordered by one of the governor Abdullah ibn Tahir during the reign of Caliph al-Ma'mun in the 9th century. He extended the mosque, adding a new area at the southwest side. At that time, the mosque measured 120 meters in length and 112 meters in width, and represented the actual area of the mosque. At the end of the Fatimid period, the mosque was ruined due to a Fustat fire in 1175 AD that lasted 54 days. Al-Fustat was burnt by the Shawar, the vizier of the Fatimid Caliph Al-Adid, to prevent crusaders from invading Al-Fustat. Therefore, Saladin rebuilt it and renovated it in 1179 AD. Just before the arrival of the French expedition to Egypt, Murad Bey, one of the Mamluk leaders during the end of the 18th century, demolished the mosque and later rebuilt it in 1796 AD. He changed the Iwan and the courtyard, replacing the 7 rows of columns in the Qibla Iwan with 6 and changing the base to be perpendicular to the Qibla wall instead of parallel. He is believed to have built the remaining minarets, one above the right entrance in the facade and the other situated above the right end of the Qibla wall.
Well, usually when we talk about mosques, there are certain things that we have to take a look at, because simply when we talk about a mosque, also we need to talk more about the era to which it belongs to. There are important parts that we need to look at. Actually, of course, the minaret is very important because out of the design of the minaret, you can tell to which era it belongs to. And also the area inside, the design, the architecture. This is exactly what we were talking about in the beginning. Right now, I will bring you more about Amr ibn al-As Mosque and more about this important idea, especially when it comes to the minarets in general. Stay with us, we'll be back with more on Amr ibn al-As Mosque.
He renovated the ceiling, covered the floor with mats, and provided the mosque with candelabras. He also made 4 foundation tablets that still exist, bearing poetic verses praising and dating his achievements. One of these tablets is fixed to the Qibla wall to the left of the mihrab. In 1906, during the reign of Khedive Abbas Hilmi II, the mosque was restored entirely, and these works were achieved by the Arab Antiquities Preservation Committee. At the southern corner of the Qibla Riwaq is a mausoleum below a dome, perhaps belonging to Abdullah the son of Amr, but historians are unable to confirm this. And one of the most remarkable facts about that mosque is that it was not only a place for prayer, but a type of intellectual university built 600 years before the foundation of Al-Azhar Mosque in Cairo. It was an important place where lesson circles and religious lectures were held. One of the most renowned religious professors and imams who taught in this mosque was Muhammad ibn Idris al-Shafi'i. As a side note, it is known that in Western addition, there was once a court of law that saw many trials during these ancient times. Today we are talking about the oldest part of Cairo, the religious complex area, a place that symbolizes how Egyptians are peaceful and moderate throughout history. In this area, the Romans built a fortress called Babylon. Then it became a Christian stronghold with as many as 20 churches built within an area of 1 square mile. In addition to churches, there is the first mosque ever built in Egypt, Amr ibn al-As Mosque, and also in the same area lies the oldest synagogue. It is a multi-religious compound. This is the Hanging Church, the Church of the Virgin Mary, built into the walls of the water gate of the Roman fortress. It is possibly the oldest Christian church in Egypt, dating to around the 4th century. The Hanging Church is considered as the oldest church in the area. It is also known as the Hanging because it was built on the ruins of 2 old towers that remain from an old fortress called the Fortress of Babylon. It was dedicated to the Virgin Mary and Saint Damiana. It dates back to the end of the 3rd century AD and the beginning of the 4th century, but it has been reconstructed and renovated several times since. This church has played an important role in the history of Coptic churches because it became the seat of the patriarchs after transferring it from Alexandria to El-Fustat. There are 110 icons here, the oldest of which dates back to the 8th century, but most of them date to the 18th century. French monk Vanslep, who was sent to Egypt in 1671 by King Louis in order to study the state of the churches and the monasteries of Egypt, mentioned that he had seen on one of the walls of the Hanging Church inscriptions written by the hand of the great Muslim commander Amr ibn al-As, asking Muslim people to treat this church with respect. The church was once very spacious, but it became much smaller throughout the ages after several modifications. It consists of an entrance known as the narthex, the nave and the two aisles, the three sanctuaries located to the east of the church, the most important being the middle one, which is dedicated to the Virgin Mary. I'm moving inside to explore the whole area. First, one can find some steps that lead to the middle entrance. On both sides of this entrance, there is a door that leads to two upper floors dedicated to the dwelling of the priest. In front of the entrance, there is a vestibule that was used as a resting place for visitors. And inside the southern aisle is separated from the nave by 8 marble columns, linked from above with a wooden architrave which is supported on arches.
Well, that was all for our backpack for today. Thank you all for joining us. Remember to join us again next week, same time, and more about Egypt. Always remember, Egypt is the cradle of all civilizations. Whatever you are looking for, you will find it in Egypt. Thank you for joining us. Remember, join us again next week, same time.